Oh man. Hopefully the freaking audio is better on these next couple of videos. I don't know what the hell is going on. Anyways, maybe I just try turning it up a little or something. Anyways, I haven't been able to keep up with all the stuff on my feed that I'm supposed to be doing. I'm trying to do that today, so there might be a little spammage on the feed. I don't even know where to start here, man. Go watch that. Oh, actually, I did not see this. Let's see
Well,
what
the
this
southern
is.
border is essentially locked down, so that's forcing these cartel organizations, these smugglers, back to the seas. But U.S. Customs and Border Protection, they're more prepared now. They have a lot of federal partners down here working with them, and if you don't stop, when they try to pursue you, they'll make you.
So gangs and smugglers
So
are
they'll
now taking
make
to
you.
the seas in an effort to evade capture at the U.S. border. But they've got a problem in the past. These guys could just drive their boats right onto our shores and get out. However, today, the U.S. Navy and Coast Guard are lying in wait with drones, ships, and aircraft. And if they see smugglers, they are gonna shut them down.
But now that land crossings are becoming more difficult, smugglers are moving out to sea.
They've already had 350 different incidents where they've had to shoot out the engines of these smuggling vessels.
They
do
shot
have a
out the
protocol.
engines?
They try to get these individuals to stop first. If they don't, then they fire warning shots. If they still won't stop, then yeah, that's when they quite literally bring in the big guns. They have to shoot out these engines.
The area of
Just making sure
operation
the audio is good.
fast.
There's still a lot of water, and it can be very difficult to identify vessels. You're right there. You can see the
Man, my
beginning
man Glibidus
of
just comes
the
here to
border
go
wall between
AFK.
the U.S. and Mexico. You can see it jutting out into the ocean.
Aerodynamics just announced a $4.6 million contract
basically,
expansion
like,
with the
blast
U.S.
my
Navy
ears.
to develop a fleet of these unmanned drones. When a battleship, aircraft carrier, or other vessel is deep out at sea, it can be costly and dangerous to use pilots to transport necessary equipment back and forth. Enter the
Oh, I would imagine
XP-4,
so.
which can be
You
used
gotta
to
pay
shuttle that
those
gear
people
for a
the salary,
fraction
you
of the
know?
price without putting sailors in danger.
That's pretty good though. In case somebody wants to strike down, that plane.
So Border Patrol and
Prevent
the
whatever it
Coast
is
Guard are
from
seeing
arriving to its
surging
destination.
recruitment
Loss
numbers.
of lives.
But what nobody's talking about is that while the game plan to protect our borders may have changed, those trying to exploit it and work their way around our troops have not. And many of these smugglers taken
God.
to the seas have done this before. After all, they're
Literally
part of a
just a whole
$13 billion
pirate ship
per
full
year
of
industry, and many
people.
of the thugs driving boats and various watercraft have
we
a
should all hop
history
on,
with
like, a
U.S.
pirate
law
team
enforcement.
together.
And before you start
Oh,
thinking
yeah.
the
We're playing
drones,
Minecraft Java
helicopters,
soon.
and even the U.S. naval
What?
warships off our shores
Yeah,
are
dude. I'm gonna hook it
overkill.
up.
It's
I
important
forgot
to
that I
understand that they're there
bought
to
Minecraft.
stop
I
some
have
of the
it
most
on my
dangerous
computer.
criminals on our entire planet. But
I can
whether
still
it's
just
at
install
sea or
the
on
Xbox
land,
shit,
we'll
right?
do
Yeah,
everything
you
they
should.
can to evade law
I'm
gonna hook it
enforcement
up
and
for
are willing to use
sport, and
force
I'm gonna
if
join that world.
necessary. Which is
You guys
why the
want?
good guys have to be
Yeah,
ready
do
to
Java
stop them
edition.
quickly and safely so nobody gets
then I
hurt.
can hook up
and
my
so that criminal
laptop
empires
the
profiting
TV,
off our formerly
and then just
open
play Java
border
edition on my
stop
fucking
growing
TV.
and shut
Yeah.
down permanently. Which brings us
Yeah,
to the real
yeah,
reason
yeah.
we're
But
even
I don't know,
still
like,
having this
is, like, the
problem. Many
latency
critics
getting, like,
suspect
is it gonna
that
be
these
laggy and
cartels
shit, or,
and
like,
these
what's gonna-
gangs have
No, dude.
infested the
Some of
Mexican
that.
government to
I
such
just
an
like hook it up
extent
to my
that
TV, like,
wiping
is
them
the
off the map
controller
for
just gonna
good is
intersync
proving
with
to be
it,
a
or-
challenge. Not because America doesn't have the technology or the
I don't know, man. I
capability
guess we'll have
to
to
do
try
it,
it
but
and see.
because it is alleged that
But,
our
this part
southern
rip is for
neighbor
y'all.
Mexico is actively protecting these
Oh my God,
guys,
the president of
allowing them to
Mexico is
stay
literally a
one
commie.
step ahead of efforts
Nah,
to
bro, the
control and
president
end
of
their
Mexico is a
operations,
strong,
even
independent
going
woman.
so far as to reject the idea of a U.S. military operation
that's a strongly
on
and
Mexican
independently
soil,
placed on
which
your
would
chin.
shut these cartels down
the
for
hell? How
good.
did that
And
tower
since
just
these guys
fall
are
like
now
that, man?
hiding in an area the
Why are you
U.S.
using the force
military
on me?
can't get to, they can continually
CDG.
launch boats and water-based incursions toward our shores, which result in
Yeah,
daring
my girl just used the
sea-based
force to fucking
operations
take the towel off, my
this.
bath towel off.
Marine
What?
interdiction
Oh, yeah.
agents, they were actually forced to disable a vessel
Minecraft
after it
Java
blew
has
past
more
Mexican Navy
Minecraft.
and
Damn,
US
this
Coast
is
Guard.
literally
They
like
a
refused to
boat
stop.
pit
One of
maneuver?
the agents actually had
Isn't
to
that
shoot out one of
dangerous?
the engines of the boat, which is actually very small and underwater.
That
Boat
was a
pit
police
maneuver?
Do what you gotta
chase
do, Chris.
on the
Gotta do
water.
what you gotta
had
do.
the Coast Guard
That's literally
vessel
a
literally
boat pit
trying to do a
maneuver.
pit
I've never
maneuver
thought I'd
on the
see that.
smugglers' craft. The same
never
thing
thought
that
I would ever
happens
see
with
that.
smugglers on the highways of
Yeah,
America. And as
literally a pit maneuver. I never thought I'd see the day where we'd see a boat pit maneuver. That's crazy.
We're about to see, because operations like this risk the lives
That's
of
crazy.
everyone involved. The U.S. is ramping up efforts to make sure they stop happening, even without the help of Mexico.
We're locked arms, and we
We're
have
locked in.
interleaving authorities with the Coast Guard. We have basically the same authorities as Border Patrol. We just kind of translate them to the maritime environment. But we're locked arms. You're not getting by us.
Okay, so Blake, they've already had 350 different incidents where they've had to shoot out the
Bro,
engines of these
Grievous.
smuggling vessels.
Grievous and
They do have a
Palpatine, yo. That's some
protocol. They
bitch-made
try to get these
motherfuckers, huh?
individuals to stop first. If they don't, then they
So
fire warning
lucky
shots.
that I
If they
just joined
still
this
won't
game.
stop,
So lucky,
then
because
yeah,
if I had
that's
been
when
playing
they
with
quite
these good
literally
folk
bring
here,
in the big guns. They have to shoot out these
y'all been
engines
toast.
to disable them. The good news here, though, Blake, out of 350 incidents that they've recorded,
think you're all big and
0
bad, huh?
injuries. They're already at
Dude, they keep putting me with noobs
350
against
recorded
stacked teams.
incidents.
When
That's
is
a
this
lot,
gonna
but the good
end?
news is nobody's gotten hurt, in spite
When
of
does
how
the madness
dangerous that
end,
might be.
Chris?
That's
Like, there is a
actually pretty
success-
impressive. 350 incidents and nobody's gotten like hurt. At least not like seriously hurt that like it matters. That's pretty.
What,
pretty.
boat pit maneuvers?
Nah, like with like the whole border patrol and like stopping these smugglers overseas, like in the
story.
seas.
But it also reveals just how
Yeah, we should just wage a
expensive
war
and
on the cartel,
time-consuming it
bro.
is to
Kill this
properly
motherfucker.
police
Oh,
our
yeah.
borders, to send highly trained experts
should.
out there to end things in the most peaceful way possible. And these guys
you know,
aren't out
US
there
needs
alone.
somebody
They
to
need
point the finger at and
technology, they
blame,
need
so.
training.
Nah,
and
dude, that's
Like
the
every other-
that's the commie president, dude. Maybe she should control her own
Them,
people.
bro.
Yeah, literally.
I believe they're all just like CIA agents, really.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, dude,
I
they're
think
paid
like
actors.
clones. They're
Yeah,
fucking
dude.
clones, bro.
Yeah, they're all reptile people, as Alex Jones would
Fucking
say.
Mexican clones.
They need eyes and ears all over the place to make sure that they know
So, yeah, what's
who's
that guy,
who
that
and
Spanish
who's
actor's
where
name?
and where
That
they're
always,
headed,
like,
which
plays
is
the
why our
role as, like,
boys
the guy
at
with
sea
the
are about
machete.
to get something new to help them.
I just want to show it to you first
What's
and
his
foremost.
name?
This is the format for when it looks like when it's taking off
That's
and landing.
crazy.
You can see the wings actually folded up.
Texas Hold'em.
Very similar to what a helicopter might do
what's his
when
name?
it takes off and lands.
Helicopter,
Helicopter,
For those wings to
helicopter.
unfold, Nicole, look at this. Looks like a regular airplane, right? This is what allows it to actually glide through the air for miles at a time.
Huh.
Danny
Kinda like
Trejo.
the drones that were gliding through the air
Yeah,
miles at a
Yeah, a bunch
time
of Danny Trejos.
over certain parts of America. But
CIA
although this is
agents.
probably a completely different piece of equipment, it's going to do a lot to help our maritime warriors stay
man.
out there
Yeah,
longer
we
and
literally
stop
did
more
nothing
people
about
from
it,
coming
too.
across, trying to
I
break our
remember this
laws and
guy.
get into our country. These things can transport objects between locations, including supplies.
I wonder if it could transport humans too. If you could like strap a
Don't
human
curse on the
to
stream.
there, and then
And they can carry
Just
rescue
drop 'em
equipment
there,
like
drop 'em
life
hot.
rafts to save people whose boat starts to sink
Drop 'em
before a
hogs.
ship is in range to pick them up. And since
Yeah, I
these
wanna
things
put
have
some hogs on
incredible
the grill.
endurance, their ability to loiter in the sky will
To
act as a
loiter.
visible deterrent
Loiter
for criminals
squad.
who think they're in the clear.
When a battleship, aircraft carrier, or other vessel is deep out at sea, it can be costly and dangerous to use pilots to transport necessary equipment back and forth. Enter the XP-4, which can be used to shuttle that gear for a fraction of the price
XP-4.
without putting sailors in danger.
Right away, you see it's a very small operating ground footprint.
The CEO
Yeah, I think it's actually
also
pretty
envisions
small,
a
though. I wonder,
future
like,
where
what's
the
the weight
drone is used to
capacity?
deliver medicine to remote
Oh, like 10
locations
pounds.
or carry out
goes
covert
inside.
recon
It
missions.
can't hold anything
Where
but
you can
straps.
truly
It's
go
kinda
Bro,
So what
somebody
most people don't
control these
understand is that the
numbers over
battle
here.
over border
Babe, where'd you get this
security
from?
is actually a battle
Oh my God,
over
really?
dollars and cents. And with naval destroyers like
Holy
this
shit.
being sent to the southern border, they require a lot of upkeep. These things are just around the clock maintenance operation
Oh my
in many
God.
cases. But we need the Navy off our coasts to stop people who think they can just come across whenever they
These
want.
villains,
But here's the thing,
these
these cartels,
swines.
they know each
God.
president
Yo, babe.
only has 4 years to take them out. And if they can outlast a
There's
president
Tesco
or the
in that?
resources
Let's go.
they've got to combat them, perhaps by just lying
4
low for the
years.
time being, in the future they'll
I
be
don't
able
know,
to
dude.
come
I
back
don't know if they'll be
stronger.
able to also beat
Especially
JD
since
Vance.
they seem to be benefiting from the help of the Mexican government, even if it's unintentional, which it certainly might not be.
Mexico is essentially controlled by these criminal organizations.
Yeah, literally.
So this week,
might say
Yeah, that's what I was
Stuff
saying. Like, that
last
president
summer.
is literally a commie. Like, Mexico's literally controlled by the gangs and shit. Like, in a normal world, if the Mexican government saw these motherfuckers on their border, basically playing the school playground game, fucking Mexican border where you have to, cross the line, and once you cross the line, you've made it and you can't get tagged out. That's basically what these people were doing there. They were just standing on the Mexican side of the border, edging all the patrol agents, and they know that they can't, go over there because they would be on, foreign jurisdiction that they have no right over. And it's like, dude, And this is being broadcasted all over the world, you know, all over news stations and outlets, and it's like, dude, and you're telling me like the Mexican government isn't gonna do anything about it? I don't know.
Head of the DEA, Terrence Cole, he said this in front of a Senate Judiciary Committee that he believes the majority of Mexico is governed by the cartels. Take a listen.
We've seen traditionally the military working hand in hand. We've seen police officers working hand in hand with cartel members. I saw the cartel's coercion of government institutions, intimidation of law enforcement, and their brutal enforcement of control over entire communities.
These cartels,
That's a really
they
good rap.
transcend politics, because no matter who's in charge of
Like, who would've
Mexico,
thought?
if they're
Like
embedded
turkey,
everywhere
cheese,
throughout
the
all
lettuce.
levels of government, in the military,
And
in
then
the
put fucking
police,
pesto on it.
they're gonna find people
Oh my
who they
God.
can work with to stay one step ahead of any effort to
let's
take
got
them
tomato
out.
too.
There's
Yeah.
always a politician out there who's corrupt
Who
that
wants
they
that extra
can
money,
pay
yeah.
off. Or they could pay off that politician's underlings to sabotage their efforts. And the way they look
Yeah,
at
what
the
happened to
country
my
of
boy Kev?
Mexico is they see the entire
arrested
place
black?
as being for
Huh?
sale. And since they've got plenty of money
What happened
from
to
their
Mr. Kevin?
illegal
Is he not here anymore?
operations that they
Oh, he
make
always
across
does
the
that. He goes
U.S.
AFK.
border, they probably aren't going to run out of resources to continue
He's still in the
negatively
Discord, he's just-
influencing
After a while?
our southern neighbor
Nah,
anytime
he's still
soon.
technically
Unless
in
U.S.
the
border
Discord. He just got moved to the AFK channel because he's AFK. Like if you were on PC, you'd be able to see, you know, that I have like, you know, different rooms like the Brethren Core, the Shadow Realm, Scrooge McDuck's
Yeah.
Temporal, whatever. You know, all that stuff. There's one called Teleporters Telecoms, and that one's like on an automatic thing where, you know, if you're AFK and you don't say anything in the chat for like a certain amount of time, it'll automatically move you over there.
Oh, I see. I see.
Because you're AFK.
efforts keep going the way they have, which is
What were you
causing
saying, Natalie?
chaos for these criminals.
Now, Mexico's president, Claudia Sheinbaum, she
she's
regularly
been-
disputes
Claudia.
these claims. She
His
points
friend,
the finger
Kevin
back
was
to the
Of course
United
she does.
States, saying,
kid
start
we
with
went to
your
high
own
school with.
country first. Now, when we talked with Border Patrol about trust with Mexico, they have told us that the trust is there, but when the cameras aren't on and I'm talking with sources, they often tell me that Mexico is actually part of the problem and they don't do enough on the south side
Yeah,
of the
of course.
border. So one example of that is when Mexico was saying, hey, we're doing what we can. We're offering them places to live and to stay here in Mexico instead of going all the way to the U.S. border. But Nicole, I actually have gotten some documents along the southern border that show that they're only marked 40 to 45 days and they're clearly marked transit. So it's essentially a fast pass to get them through every checkpoint and right to our back door. So if this is Mexico helping and providing a place to live and work,
Time the claw
you can
rush
see
just
why those
right.
comments made by
That
the
was a
DEA
2v1
saying
though.
that there's some control there by the cartels. You can see there's some validity with that.
So Mexico blames America for the strength of these cartels and the fact that they even
You hear this commie wench saying that it's our fault? Dude, it's always our fault, bro. It's always our fault. You hear this motherfucker? Just like China, dude, trying to blame us for COVID-19. Like, bro, what are you talking about, man? You literally, oh man.
exist, and they're saying, hey, America, this is your problem, go and fix it. But then a report like this comes out that shows that the Mexican government may be facilitating the movement of
Just a
these
facade.
very criminals to help them do their thing. And now we have evidence that the Mexican government is allowing these guys to move through their territory with official paperwork and documents, something that's surely not shutting them down so much as it's helping them. Also, whenever you see Mexican troops patrolling the border or conducting crackdowns, there's a very good chance the gang members and cartels already knew those crackdowns were coming and see them as a cost of doing business.
Chief Attila, good morning to you. I mean, could you imagine if the U.S. military was allowed to go into Mexico and take out these cartels? We could do it, and the reign of terror would be over. Mexico and the United States would be safer as a result of this. But the president of Mexico turned President Trump down. What's your reaction to this?
Well, you're
That
right.
she's a
There's
commie?
lot of potential here. We share so many things.
That's my reaction.
Besides the border with Mexico, right? Family, tourism, lots of trade. And we also are fearful of the cartels that are operating in Mexico. We know that Mexico is very concerned about their influence in their society today. And so this is a potential partnership that could pay dividends for generations. And so I understand where the president is coming from.
It would pay dividends for generations of Mexicans and Americans who obey the law and just want to live and pursue happiness to the best of their ability. And the fact that the Mexican president has said troops cannot come in and cannot do their job and cannot help Mexico retake their country, that's telling. Because the presence of these criminals does not help the common people anywhere. It only benefits corrupt elites and politicians. Now,
yeah, like
maybe
her.
this is intentional.
She's
Maybe
literally
the
one of those
president
corrupt
Mexico
people.
is in league with these criminals
Yeah,
directly.
she definitely
or
is,
perhaps
100%.
her advisors and her military is. But one thing's for sure, if U.S. tanks rolled across that border, it would look like the country of Mexico has completely collapsed and is totally unable to run itself.
These are her words. She said, we can collaborate, we can work together, but you and your territory, we and ours, we can share information, but we will never accept the presence of the U.S. Army in our territory.
Mexico is doing a lot. They do have 10,000
Oh yeah, but you allow the presence of your gangs and shit to infiltrate our country?
They really leaned in under the threat of tariffs to make sure that they were working. Kristi Noem, the Secretary of DHS, has spoken directly with the Mexican president to make sure that they're keeping up their end of the bargain as it relates to our shared responsibility on the border. But
okay, now, knowing what we just heard about how these cartels operate and how they've infested the military and the police and the government, got to ask yourself, what good are 10,000 compromised troops going to actually do at the U.S. border? Are those troops just placed there by Mexico so that it can look
Dude,
like...
she knows what she's doing. That's what I'm saying. She's a freaking commie, dude. She doesn't actually care about helping. She just wants to make it look like she's doing something so they don't look like the bad guys and we look like the bad guys. Dude, you're not slick.
Like something is going to happen. Sure, they might make arrests here and there. They might get a few low-level criminals, but the big guys that are controlling operations within Mexico, are we really supposed to believe in light of these reports that they don't know what these troops are and are not allowed to do? And part of what makes this incredibly apparent is that right on the other side of the border wall, in some cases, you can see equipment and things that these gang members have set up that they think is going to help their operation, and it's like right on the other side of wall. It's within almost touching distance, but there's nothing our troops can do.
This is the reality of the evil that we're facing.
Cartels light candles to the so-called Lady of Holy Death, believing she grants protection.
When the reality is that is demonic, is just pure evil.
Cartels still dominate Mexico's border regions, especially in Juarez, where agents found 281 stash houses last year.
281 stash houses.
What the media may say or what anything, you're not going through those areas unless you're on that cartel's.
Through the border fence, we can see this little cabinet with a hat and a lock on it, full of religious artifacts that these guys think are going to help them make it across the border successfully. And it's right there. Why is this thing locked if nobody's walking up to it and unlocking it ever to use all the stuff in there? And several news reports have mentioned that the religious-looking things in here are used by these gang members to perform little ceremonies before they try and cross the border. That's why these things are so close to the border itself. And the fact that this stuff is right here and accessible
That's so random.
tells you who might really be in control of the Mexican
The game
side.
didn't just end.
Once
Yeah,
crowded
threw me
migrant
into the
trails
fucking,
now sit
threw me over
empty.
the ledge.
It is very gratifying
I'm
for
on
us
the
to
edge
see the actual
of
results.
glory.
Push me to the edge. All my friends are dead.
having Consequences and having a government that is for the safety and for the well-being of our communities.
So those consequences at the border, they're not coming from the Mexican side of the border. They're coming from the U.S. side. They're coming from this massive crackdown that's happening in terms of border security, which has never happened before, and that's shutting down areas of the border on the Mexican side. The U.S. crackdown is making Mexico safer, but that also explains why now sea-based crossings and incursions are becoming more common. What do you think about that? Will there be more sea-based incursions in the near future? There's a lot of water out there. How would the U.S. go about securing all of it, or is it even going to be possible to do that?
It's hard to do anything because then the left will immediately try to block it and be like, nah, I can't do that. Blah. Try to virtue signal and do all this fucking bullshit. Oh, man.
Yeah, I guess.
Alright. I think I actually watched that work. Let's look at this.
Thieves dressed as Amazon workers raid homes.
Five
What's
people
this
were
about?
arrested in
Oh my
Fontana, believed to be a part of a transnational
Thieves dressed as
organized
Amazon
burglary
workers?
ring. Detectives say the 4 men and woman dressed up like delivery workers.
That's the most shocking thing about all this, right? It happened
Oh,
in
man.
plain daylight. People disguised allegedly as food and Amazon delivery workers. Now,
allegedly.
This, alleged ring to at least one burglary here in the Great Park community. Family and their neighbors say they're just glad they weren't home at the time of the crime.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to be home either when these people come knocking, but it's a shame the police weren't there because, as you're about to see, they stole a lot of stuff.
Investigators say the man walking up to Guoling Wang's front door, who appears to be an
Okay, so I
Amazon
have some
delivery man,
firearms.
is not.
I
Anyone
actually
seen
would want to
walking
be
up
home.
Several minutes prior, police say she's not a food delivery woman either. Watch as within minutes, the man and 2 others run out of Wang's house with a backpack and luggage.
Why did I
crazy.
do that?
Tens
I'm
of
so
thousands of
stupid,
dollars.
bro.
They broke this window.
Documents,
Oh
credit
my
cards,
God.
tens of thousands of dollars worth of property
Jeez.
gone. Irvine
Busted
police say
myself
the
into the
family
abyss.
may have been targeted by a transnational organized crime ring.
I would
That's
suspect so too.
awful. Why do we have transnational organized crime rings in America dressing up as Amazon employees? This is a nightmare.
Just another food deliverer at your doorstep. That's what this woman wants you to think. But Irvine police says this is her finding a victim.
The reason that they surveil these homes is so that they can figure out when you're not home.
By 1:50, 20 minutes after the initial door knock, 3 men run out with a backpack and suitcase, jump into the same white SUV, and drive off before officers arrive. Police pulling over another vehicle they call suspicious.
The driver was arrested for traffic violations, and evidence was recovered from within the vehicle.
Of course it was.
Wow. So before we
Why
get
the
to
hell
this
wouldn't it be?
takedown where they actually nab these guys, what's ridiculous is that this whole thing happened in 20 minutes and nobody suspected a thing because they were all dressed up as Amazon or delivery people. In fact, it looked like 3 people all made their way to the front door of that house like they were independent delivery
I mean,
people.
I don't know,
but they
dude.
were-
Me personally, if I see, especially because I've actually worked at Amazon, if I see more than like 3 or 4 people running from a house and they're wearing Amazon vest, I'm immediately assuming that they're not working for Amazon. Because it already seems suspicious. Like at max, there would probably be like 1 or 2, rare occasions 3 if it's like a supervisor or some shit. But like, 2 or 3 employees on the same road. And the only reason why they would be on the same road is if they happen to be either passing each other or if they have to do a rescue. Meaning like, somebody has to come and take some packages off of you. Other than that, everybody's like split up for the most part. So that should already be like a red flag. The fact that, like, that's what I'm saying. That's another thing. Oh man.
We're all part of the same gang, got inside, and then what you're about to see here ends up taking place once they track them down.
After a month-long surveillance, detectives making 5 arrests this week in Fontana. 4 men and a woman from Colombia. Detectives
From
calling them
Colombia.
a professional
Why'd she say it
burglary
like that?
group. Investigators say among the items found, property stolen from Wang's home.
I was thinking one of the selling point for this community and Irvine is that the safety, right? It ranked consistently as the safest city in the U.S.
Yeah, those safe city rankings, I don't believe them because we've got sanctuary cities all over this country, sanctuary states, where they allow utter
Nowhere is
lawlessness
safe
to just
anymore.
take place. And a lot of these places,
criminals
like
are, like,
especially New
expanding
York,
for the
Ireland,
most
they
part.
are fudging their police and crime numbers, that's for sure.
Covered several $100,000 of stolen valuables inside 2 homes and a storage unit. Police believe the group is part of an organized burglary crew responsible for Wang's burglary and potentially many more.
Oh,
Just
potentially
based on all
more.
the data that we've collected and sharing and collaborating
Dude,
with
they're
our
saying
partners,
potentially, it
we've
most
determined
definitely
that this
probably
type
is
of
more.
behavior where they surveil, they wear, they'll take an Amazon vest or a construction vest to make it look like they fit into the area, and they travel in crews.
It's in daylight. I would never imagine people could become a victim on an Eastern day. It's a peaceful day. People go out enjoying time with family, and it's the best time.
That's when the criminals want to come and break
That's when they
into your
strike.
house like this, when they know there's nothing going on. And as you're about to see, this kind of thing is very common.
Irvine community on edge tonight after a series of home burglaries over the past few weeks. Residents say that they are concerned about their safety after burglars have targeted at least 8 homes, including one that turned into a home invasion.
Security cameras have captured several break-ins in the Groves at Orchard Hills. It's a guard-gated community with multi-million-dollar homes in Irvine. Residents who are too afraid to reveal their identities say they're living in fear because of the string of burglaries and robberies in the past few months.
We're on our 8th now, and it's just mind-boggling
Glitching
for
everywhere.
me
What the
because,
fuck?
and it's just
I like that they're filming the boots, the cowboy boots.
unsettling.
Yeah.
Some
his character's
residents have found
fucking
hidden
glitching.
cameras surveilling their homes. It was installed in the bushes so that they could.
That's obscene. There are hidden
What the hell?
cameras
They
outside
put them in the
people's
bushes?
homes that they don't even know about.
How does nobody I
watching
mean,
their every move, so
to
the
be fair,
criminals
they are
know when
hidden.
to come by and rob them.
In one instance, the thieves broke in through a back door and stole millions in handbags and jewelry.
When I spoke to them, they were like just trembling, like shaking in trauma. And their, the grandmother was actually inside the house while this all happened.
In another incident, distraught residents tell us a gun was used.
Was at gunpoint. Someone was tied up like the lady just mentioned before. That is really scary.
Residents want security beefed
Oh, I bet
up
it's
in
scary.
this community and the city and police to do more.
We need to see some action.
We spoke to the HOA president.
Yeah, it's going to be hard for them to do more when local laws are protecting these criminals, standing against ICE agents when they come to do their job, especially if the criminals in this string of robberies here are the same people that just got busted in the ones we looked at first. It's the same type of crime, armed bandits, valuables, jewelry.
Irvine police say, unfortunately, this Southern California area, not just Irvine, is experiencing professional residential burglaries
No, it's the whole state.
committed by transnational groups. Authorities want residents to know, though, that they're taking these break-ins very seriously.
So the police speculate that these are also criminals who shouldn't even be in the country to begin with. That is absolutely frightening. But we've seen this kind of thing somewhere else as well.
3 of the 4 people in this photo, all from Chile, are accused of carrying out the burglary.
All from Chile.
Officials say these photos show them wearing Burroughs' diamond number 9 necklace and a gold JB necklace, famously worn ahead of the AFC Championship game. They were arrested during a traffic stop in January, 1 month after the break-in.
How you guys doing?
During a search of the SUV, troopers found an old Louisiana State shirt and a Cincinnati Bengals hat believed to be taken from JB's home. Police say nearly $300,000 worth of designer luggage, glasses, watches, and jewelry.
So these
Damn,
guys
I feel like that
were
was targeted, though. Like,
busted
why?
committing
How would they
the
just
same
know that
type
they
of
have
home
all that?
invasion. But the thing that makes their story unique is they were taking their stolen goods to a pawn shop right in the middle of New York City to sell it. That's probably what's happening.
Oh, wait,
with
I
these
think I
other
misheard
home
that.
invasions.
Never mind.
They're
Never
probably
mind.
offloading all this stuff at pawn shops or selling it online, getting rid of it in a way where it doesn't look like anything dishonest is taking place.
Within minutes of kickoff, a 911 call reporting a break-in at Burroughs Anderson Township home.
Someone broke into my house. It's like completely messed up.
Court records revealing security walked the perimeter at 6 o'clock, but didn't find anything to worry about. Investigators say while a special deputy was posted out front, burglars broke in
Damn, I
through
have
the
to
back,
leave early
snapping
tomorrow.
this photo at 7:12.
That's embarrassing.
My
That
boss's
was later
retirement
deleted.
party. I have a fucking
trail
dentist
camera
appointment.
captured someone walking through the woods with designer bags. In the days
course.
following the burglary, court records say the
They didn't
man
even
went
think
to
to
Florida.
station anyone in the back. Are you kidding me?
What is that? Donde vas?
This is so scary.
Orlando? Wrong way.
Orlando, wrong
And
way.
this is happening all over our country. We've got criminals who
SpongeBob
came
pendant?
in here,
Oh my
and they
God.
didn't come here to live
Not the
country. They came
SpongeBob
here
pendant.
to steal stuff like this and sell it to make money. And they're
Is that a
figuring
Goku
out that
statue
with
too?
progressive
Fuck.
cities and states all over the place that are going to harbor them
Monk,
and
stop.
hide them from the federal government, who might be looking for them, that they can get away with this to a greater extent than anybody
Monk,
thought
stop being a
possible.
bad
And the
boy.
worst part
Step
about
up.
all of this is when ICE and the federal government do try to do their job and get some of these transnational fugitives out of our country, the local population who doesn't understand what's going on and has been manipulated stands in their
no
way.
biting.
Look at this.
No biting.
What you see here
Neighbors and a family member trying to stop ICE agents from arresting the woman. Worcester officials say after considering the chaos that erupted, they're now exploring how their employees, including police, should interact with federal immigration agents.
Oh my God, I got a level 3, a level 3, and a level 2.
Okay, so what happened here in this video is you have an ICE arrest of somebody who was in the country illegally, had an outstanding warrant for assault, and what happened? Agents show up to make this arrest, and they get surrounded by the locals who come out and start screaming and yelling at them. Police get called to the scene, and the reason there's outrage here is because the local police stopped residents from attacking federal agents who had jurisdiction.
Yeah, like, what the hell? Like, common sense, dude. Like, what the... Like, in my opinion, all these people should have been arrested as well for aiding and abetting this shit. Like, what? What the
and we're doing their job. And this
like,
is why these transnational criminals who are really illegal immigrant criminals feel as bold
I'm
as
gonna
they
put my
do
other
in this
headphone,
country.
alright, honey?
The community is reacting by coordinating their
I was gonna put it on, hon.
sharing information and videos, informing people of their rights, even confronting agents by questioning their actions.
So dangerous.
Are you here legally or illegally? Don't talk to him. Yet another encounter between Immigration and Customs Enforcement and the public. This video taken Tuesday morning in downtown Waltham, showing ICE agents forcefully arresting two men in a van after seemingly ignoring their orders.
My first feeling was fear, and then it was anger when I saw how they...
Yeah.
It was like fear, and it was like anger that this person committed an actual federal crime and came here illegally, and now that they're getting detained and actually, you know, suffering the consequences of their actions. That's crazy. And I felt fear. I felt fear that, you know, the law is actually doing something about injustice. It felt fear that, you know, police officers are actually doing their, people in power are actually doing what they're supposed to be doing and getting, you know, people who commit crimes out of here. And I'm so fearful of that. Fucking idiots, dude.
Because people have been brainwashed into thinking that when ICE goes after somebody and takes them down, that they're taking Maryland fathers off the streets, when that's not what's going on here at all. ICE is doing a great service to everybody, and they're not even a partisan agency. They've only got 6,000 people who can act in this deportation capacity. They've said they're going after people with criminal records. That's who they're taking down, yet you've got activists showing up at these arrests acting like the worst injustice ever
she should have been arrested right there on the spot.
Is taking place. When to me, the worst
arrested
injustice
that
taking
bitch
place
right
is
there on the
people's
spot.
homes getting broken into by transnational robbers. What a term! Who shouldn't even be in America? These are people who are here
transnational
without permission.
robbers.
Here are
What the
pictures
hell does
of
that
the
even
5
mean?
people arrested. Police say they are all Colombian nationals, though it is unknown at this point as to how they got into the United States.
To me, that sounds like a nice way of saying that these people are in the country illegally and nobody knows exactly how they came in. The internet's full of videos of people crossing the border in a manner that is against the law. And since 2024, people who come in an unofficial manner have been banned from seeking asylum, which can only reveal one thing. These individuals probably came across, not only without permission, but they did so knowing that they'd have to be members of the criminal underworld from the moment they crossed our border, which was perfectly fine with them, because here they are engaging in all sorts of behavior that we're told nobody who really wants the American dream would ever even think about engaging in. Which is true, these people aren't here for the American dream, they're here for a twisted, counterfeit version of it, which involves breaking into homes dressed up as workers at Amazon. And where do they happen to be getting away with stuff like this? In areas of the country that have laws and policies restricting what police can do to get criminals off their streets. This stuff's not happening in the state of Florida, where police are now allowed to make their own immigration-related arrests. What do you think's really going on here?
If my team ain't worth shit, then I'm gonna quit. If my team ain't worth shit, then I'm gonna quit. If my team ain't worth shit, then I'm gonna quit.
That's actually hilarious, Chad. Oh, man. Oh, God. Let's see.
Fucking faggots, bro. If you suck at the game, don't play it.
Yeah, this kid
don't encumber people like me.
Anyways, hope you guys like this video. I honestly don't even know what to say anymore about the stupid immigration crisis. It's just kind of like common sense at this point. Anybody arguing is just kind of like a dead-deader. So, I'll see you guys in the next video. Hopefully the audio isn't dookie on this, and peace.